And so I use that as a way to, challenge my lizard brain, because my lizard brain is telling me, you're missing this run on the weekend, that's gonna hurt your race.
My name is Will, and this is my attempt at my first 50K Ultra at the Sulphur Springs trail race.
Looking really strong.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Road to 50K series. Last video, we talked a little bit about peaking and what we were gonna do, what the plan was gonna be, basically up until now. And things have changed just a little bit. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Part of what we wanted to show in this series was the fact that I am a dad. I've got 2 kids. And I also am a part of running the movement and being a full-time physio and all these things. And so we knew that things were going to come up along the way. And that's what happened recently. I actually got pretty sick. My kids were sick. I was building up my training, I did a long run of 3 hours and 30 minutes. Went well. I think I might have posted something about it. That went well, and then got a chest infection that really laid me out. So we wanted to kind of sit and talk a little bit about that, how that affected my training plans, and how I'll be approaching things from now on, given the obvious change that's happened as a result of the illness.
Share a little bit about your mindset around having to change up the program and missing some runs with obviously one of the biggest and longest runs you've done kind of looming over your head.
I think when you initially get sick in a situation like this, it's easy and natural, and I'll say I'm not immune to having kind of negative cascading thoughts. I started just kind of spiraling, like obviously this is an important time period for the build, and I was also just really excited about doing that, and that's, I think, the hardest part is just, I do this because it's fun, it's a challenge, but it's something I enjoy, and I knew that I was gonna have to forego my big run last week, which was supposed to be 3 hours, 45 minutes. That I was going to be missing out on some training. So initially I think this is normal, is you're just kind of bummed. And so I was disappointed that I was going to have to make adjustments. But I think my mindset is that 1 week is not going to make or break my race. And so I go in with the approach that let's do what I can to recover and, feel better next week, so that I can get back, as soon as I can, feeling good. I also know that I have, months of good quality training behind me. I could run the race ultimately next week if I was healthy and probably do fine. So I think that helped me just kind of center myself and overcome some of those initial thoughts that I was having, and just try to focus on, what I could control and focus on getting healthy.
Yeah, I think having that mindset is easier in theory, harder to put into practice. So how was actually going about taking the rest, shifting your plan, like how did that go for you? How do you approach that? Because I think something people struggle with a lot is making that decision to actually rest and not force a run, or be okay with having to recover. Like, is there any tactical approaches that you have to that? Because I think people understand the mindset you're talking about, but how do they tactically try to navigate?
I think you're right that it is easier said than done, and I don't think there's one secret to having this mindset necessarily. However, I would say that in general, I have the approach, and I continuously have the approach, that the totality of your training is more important than one individual run. And so I know like one run or 1 week is not what improves my fitness and my health. It's the greater sum of all of it. And that extends beyond just this. It also leaks into things like, my slow runs are slow. My fast runs are fast. I'm not trying to turn my slow runs into fast runs and stuff like that, right? It's actually doing a taper and not turning the taper into just more hard training. Like, those are things that I'm fully bought into. And so I use that as a way to, challenge my lizard brain, because my lizard brain is telling me, you're missing this run on the weekend, that's gonna hurt your race. And so I have to then go back to my cautious mindset that I have committed to, which is, oh, that's not the case. If I miss that run, it'll have zero impact on my race. What will have an impact on my race is if I go out, force myself to run, get even more sick, and now I'm out for, 3 weeks because I just exacerbated things. And then I can't do any of my bigger runs. And then who knows what that, final training is looking like, who knows what that race looks like in comparison to just kind of focusing on minimizing the impact it's having on my training, and continue to remind myself that what's really important is the overall sum of all my training.
It's, if I'm hearing you right, it's like having the plan laid out and being prepared appropriately to have success with a run is almost like the safety fall, the safe fail mechanism of avoiding these situations, like getting sick, blowing up your training. So maybe speak a little bit to why a plan is important, and then maybe touch on how you've shifted that plan and how you've even built the plan to have the ability to navigate something like this happening.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to that, Even just the fact that, I've picked a race that's achievable for me. It's extended beyond what I've done before, but not by a crazy margin. I've run a marathon before successfully. This is 8 kilometers fast or further. It's not like, my training was way off. And so I think that's important because I do have a base for running this. It's not like this is something that is a crazy shock, and if I miss even one run, then I'm kind of doomed for failure. I also don't plan personally 14 races in the year. I'm mindful that I'm a dad, I run a business, I'm really busy. My sleep isn't always the greatest. So I'm very conservative with how many races I choose to do, and I stick to that. That's just not negotiable for me. And then I do have a plan. And I think that's number one, is just having a decent plan that's laid out and trying my best when I'm healthy to friggin' stick to it. If I missed 25% of my runs, or didn't do half of my long runs or my midweek runs or whatever coming up, and then I get sick, well, then it is a bigger slice of the pie that I'm missing out on because I haven't been disciplined and consistent going up to that point. So I think that was the big thing, is if I'm going to commit to doing something like a 50K, which is just stressful, it's hard on your body, I'm not going to wing it. I'm going to have a plan that I can stick to, and that allows me the flexibility of adjusting it when I need to adjust it. And I had those expectations going into this. I know that my kids are going to get sick at some point in the training block, which has been true. I've been sick. You can literally see it on my Strava. You can see I've been sick 3 times, once a month. I knew it was going to happen, so that even further reinforces it's I've got to stick to the plan. When I'm healthy, I need to be on my feet, right? So I think that's just the big thing, is having a plan, sticking to it when I am healthy, And then that allows me to make the adjustments.
You tell people a little bit about like what the rest of the build is going to look like as we transition to, you know, the race being here soon.
Yeah, so now, obviously this week I was supposed to have another, you know, big training session. I'm about halfway through the week. I'm really just starting to get better. So I've got less than 5 weeks left. I've really got, you know, a week and a half sort of big training pre kind of taper. And so what I'm going to do is the rest of this week is going to be a recovery focus. So I'm just aiming to get back running normally. No tempo work, no really long runs. I did like a 5 or 6 kilometer walk yesterday in the trails. That was all I could do. Went, did it, got some time on my feet. Went outside today. It was an absolutely beautiful day out. I was feeling a lot better and actually picked up my feet a little bit today. I was not running super fast, but you know, I got probably 8 to 10 kilometers in there. So step in the right direction. I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow and then the same thing on Sunday. And maybe on Sunday I'll do like a small, it's all relative, but you know, a shorter relative to what I've been doing long run of like maybe 15 to 20 kilometers, something like that. This is all in service of getting me ready for next week, which is going to be my biggest week of training ever. And it's going to culminate, I'm going to do 2 full loops of the Sulphur Springs Trail Race course, which we'll be documenting, so you'll be able to see that. And then after that, it's going to be taper time. So gradually kind of weaning down to try to peak for race day. So at the end of the day, it's not a whole lot of change, basically just missing a couple of like long runs and a little bit of extra volume.
Anything else you want to say?
Not before I take the sip of coffee. I don't think so.
Okay.
So, thanks for tuning in. If you want, you can check out some of the previous videos we've done on my kind of road to Sulphur Springs Trail Race 50K, which is coming up soon. If you enjoyed this at all and you took some value away from my ramblings, then please subscribe to the channel. You won't regret it. We're going to be doing another video kind of documenting my biggest training run ever. So that's going to be awesome. We're hoping to have some of our movement relay team come out and join, maybe some of the movement team members. And then 5 weeks from now, we're going to be doing the actual race. So really excited for that. Super stoked. I think it's going to be an awesome event. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what I'm made of and, you know, testing things after all this training. I think that's it. See ya.
Keep going.